Welcome to Follow Him Favorites. This is where John and I share a single story to go with each week's lesson. John, we are in Genesis chapter 5 and Moses chapter 6 this week that talks about how Adam and Eve taught freely to their children. Enoch did as well. It also talks quite a bit about agency and how important agency is to God. I have a story that mixes all these things in together. It's not a story I share often because it is quite meaningful to me, but it does have some funny elements to it. Years and years ago, when my sweet daughter was our only child, her name is Madeline. Her name is Madeline Pitts now. She recently got married. At the time, she was just my little girl, Madeline Smith. I had a dream about her. In the dream, I was back home in southern Utah. If you've been to St. George, lots of big red cliffs everywhere. We used to play on those cliffs when we were kids. We would play who can roll the rocks closest to the cars without hitting them.
Oh.
Fun games like that.
Yeah.
John, when you're a kid, those cliffs are fun and exciting, but when you're a dad, those cliffs are dangerous. In my dream, I'm on top of one of these red cliffs with my little daughter, Madeline. She's probably 3 years old or 4 years old. Of course, I tell her to not go near the cliff because I don't want her to get hurt. So I say, don't go near the cliff, to which she automatically looks over and thinks, I'm going to go close to the cliff because that's what our children do. So she starts going over to the cliff. In my dream, again, this is a dream, I say, hey, stop where you are. I don't want you going closer to the cliff. And she thought it was actually quite funny, smiled at me and started going faster towards the cliff. Now I'm getting nervous, John, and I go over to her and I use my dad voice. Do you have a dad voice, John? I use my dad voice.
I think I do.
Madeline, you stop right there. And she would turn and she had her back to the cliff and she looked at me and I said, hey, you stop right there. I'm going to walk over there and get you. So I took a step towards her and she smiled and took a step back. And I went, okay. I had to use my big dad voice, right? Like Madeline Smith, right? Use her full name. Madeline Smith, don't move. I'm going to come get you. Don't move. And I took a step towards her and she took another step back. We do this a few times and she's getting closer and closer to the cliff. I'm really getting upset with her and she is not listening to me. She's just smiling. She has no idea the danger that she's in, yet I cannot get her to listen to me. John, if I'd have known it was a dream, I would have grabbed her and flown to Disneyland. But I really thought this was real at the time. It was so real. I'm not a dreamer. It's not something that happens to me often, but this was really intense. I had a feeling, John, in my dream that I should do something that was entirely against my nature, which was take a step away from her. And I fought that. Automatically, I fought that. No. If I take a step away from her and she takes a step back, that's it. I can't get to her. And I should have known it was a dream, John, because I did the right thing. I took a step back. And she looked at me kind of confused, this little girl, and she took a step towards me. John, the automatic thing I wanted to do when she took a step towards me was to step towards her and grab her. But I thought, okay, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. Take another step back. So I took another step back and she looked confused and she took a step towards me. And I thought, what am I doing? Why are we even staying next to this cliff? I turned around and ran away from her and she laughed and chased me. And we were far away from the cliff. Then I woke up. Later on, I was chatting with my wife, Sarah, and I told her about this dream. I got into all the details about it. John, you know Sarah. She said, that's actually a pretty incredible dream. You know what it means, right? And I thought, yeah.
No.
Yeah. I totally
of course,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, of course I know. I said, why don't you tell me what you think it means, and then I'll tell you what I think it means. Because honestly, John, up to that point, I thought it meant don't eat pizza after 11. She said, you have a tendency to parent a lot like you were parented, which was pretty rough. I was a brand new parent at the time. I mean, it was our first child. She said, you have a tendency to parent like that. And I think what something might be telling you, that something was heaven. She said, I think something might be telling you that when you do that, you're actually going to push her towards the very things you don't want her to go towards.
Very interesting.
That hit me hard, John. And I remember saying something like, well, yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Right? Like, yeah, 100% what I was thinking. She was right. I did have a tendency to do my house, my rules. Here you are, 3 years old, pick up a toilet scrubber. Let's get ready to work. You got to earn your way in this house. And then Sarah said something that honestly changed my life, John. She didn't mean to. It wasn't a big, huge moment. It didn't have music. It was just something she said casually that I went and wrote down. She said, in parenting, we have to learn it's not about forcing, it's about leading. It's not about forcing, it's about leading. And I immediately went to my journal and I wrote that down. When I saw this lesson, the name of this lesson, teach these things freely unto your children, I didn't read, teach these things forcefully unto your children.
That's so good. I think of Jesus being the good shepherd, and anciently, you would lead sheep. In the Western cultures, we herd sheep with our Ford F-150 and a bunch of dogs. But anciently, you call them by name, and they know your name, and you lead them. It was kind of that idea. I need to have more dreams, Hank.
Yeah, it's not something that happens often to me, but there is something about that, especially in some children, and my daughter is one of them, who just thought, don't force me. I'll push back against force, which is very godlike, isn't it, John? I mean, God isn't forced to do anything. He's not a slave to anyone, yet sometimes we think the best way to help our children is to force them to do something. It can be quite counterproductive. A lot of us parents have to learn the hard way, sadly. We hope you'll join us on our full podcast. It's called Follow Him. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts. We were with Dr. Carrie Muhlstein this week. John, Carrie Muhlstein, Egyptologist, brilliant, funny. He is the whole package. You're going to love it. Join us over there and then come back next week. We'll do another Follow Him Favorites.